2026. I'm Sweets. This is Sid. This is our Friday weekly check-in where we talk about what we have shipped last week and plan out next week. Kicking it off how we always do, in one word, how you feeling today? In one sentence, what do you need today?
I'm feeling tired. Hopefully this coffee will kick me in. What do I need today? Um, uh, some updates. I realized that the coding that you haven't been putting your code reviews on the code review channel. So I don't know if that broke, like the paperclip broke, or if or what happened. But I want some updates.
I've been feeling worried and I need sales progress tracking. Updates I've been sharing inside of my Slack so that my devs have visibility into how much I ship so that when they constantly ping me for review, they understand that I'm shipping code. And rather than duplicating that and then giving you notifications making you think that you should be shipping code, I thought it would be best to not give you constant notifications so you can focus on the business side, which I think is where the business is currently lacking. Or maybe not lacking, but needs more development and attention.
Yeah. All right. Makes sense. What should we get into?
On my side, I'd love to hear how sales is going and what the progress is and what's the next step for you achieving the goals you've set at the start of this year, or are you no longer approaching those goals?
No, still going after those goals. I'll show you kind of what I've been building out. Share my screen. So this is Cosmo, uh, my personal AI OpenClaw that I've been building out to set up a LinkedIn pipeline. So right now what it does is I feed it discovery from meeting chats, uh, emails. It also like scrapes Twitter and LinkedIn and stuff like that. It puts everything into like a discovery pipeline, and then just kind of automating the process of what to do with that data. So where are we? Dashboard. Let me open this up. I already went through the discovery today, but you can see. So it pulls in all that stuff and then writes drafts for me, which then I can review. Some of the drafts are just news. Other drafts are like product updates, things like that. I can tell it to revise things, and then it comes in and then throws media on top of it. So it updates like a media thumbnail. And then I can either approve it or not. And then it auto posts on LinkedIn. And so I'm just setting up the pipeline so that like for now it's LinkedIn, but like we can also route to like customer email lists for product updates. We can also update X and things like that. But I wanted to nail it for LinkedIn because that's like the majority where the customers are. And so if I could automate and make sure that that channel is constantly being fed, I think that will help a lot with visibility. Because right now a lot of my time is spent talking to customers and or posting something or building something. And if I can take the first two, or the talking to customers and or building something, and turn that into content automatically, that will save a lot of, it will just increase our pipeline for product or for customers. So that is that. It's actually awesome because it also, we set it up with let me see. Oh, that's Homa. That's the other bot. I set up with an entire wiki gbrain, and so it has like a Obsidian, just like a markdown wiki with like 7,000 right now, like pages that are all like noted together and wiki linked together, forming this knowledge graph, which is pretty fucking crazy. Because I can also just ask it things like, what is Cosmo? What is Gary's strategy for fat skills? And like as I'm scrolling X, I'll just like throw in X articles into it, and it just like kind of like organizes them, ranks them. So then I can also just get feedback on like from an article 4 months ago that I was interested in, like what was that thing that we were talking about? Can I read it, and then can we write a post about it? So that's pretty cool. So that's what I've been focused on, trying to scale the content for more visibility. And on the other side, just been going back and forth trying to get bookings for revising stale leads. There's like a lot of leads last year or coming into this year that were interested, but then just got busy. They got, other things. So just going back and repinging and everybody.
What results have you found from the LinkedIn so far?
Let's look. So tangible results, meaning like, what are we trying to do? We've gotten 4 discovery calls. So those are like just clean people outreaching to me to set up calls. We've increased the amount of what's the word? The audience reach over the last week from like, I think it was probably 1,000 or 2,000 people coming to either my page or the Recoup page to, I think we're at 6,000 or 7,000 now. So more visibility, which then just optimizing the funnel, the go-to-market funnel, I think, right now.
So you scheduled 4 calls this week?
Yeah.
Those are all for next week?
Yeah.
How many calls did you have this week?
3.
And where did those 3 discovery calls come from?
My network outreach again. There my repinging from previous my network, I guess you could say. And everybody likes likes to demo, likes the product, but we unless it's I'm finding that unless it's a C-suite level executive, uh, everybody has to go back to their manager or their director, or you know, is gets stuck on that portion of it. So it seems like it's like builders who don't have bosses can use our product uh, relatively easily in their own coding agent, and C-suite, or more so founders and CEOs of of small medium-sized businesses uh, can also install and use our plugins in their agents easily. It's that middle ground uh, that likes the demo, but gets blocked by IT.
Got it. So 3 calls this week, none of them leading to signing up for a trial account or feeling like they're in that direction. All of them getting to a demo, but ultimately getting blocked. And it sounds like you're learning the best return on investment discovery calls are C-suite or not employees of a company, but someone who can actually make a decision in a company.
Correct.
Are your calls next week more of employees that are going to need to do the same thing that happened this week, or are they C-suite people that learned from the calls you had this week?
They're different. So the calls this week were label distributor focused. Next week is all funds, and so I don't know if it's the same structure or not. But there's one GP, and then there's one. I don't know what their role is because it just says like music tech royalties. So we'll see what their role is, and then I gotta check the other ones. But so I'm not sure if the same applies on the fund side.
What is your goal for the end of next week, sales related, that gets us closer to the goal that you set at the start of this year? What's changing between last week and this week that will get the needle moved off of 0?
To get my main goal with all of these calls is to get our plugins installed and our domain whitelisted into their coding agent. Because if I can do that, then they can start using the product. And we can start seeing, although not on not on the catalog side, but on the research side of things, if they're using it, how much they're using it, and if they start accumulating credits. So that's my main goal, is getting them to use it, and getting it in their system, and then setting up a secondary call to talk about like what their feedback is. And usually on that secondary call, it's me going deeper into the customization aspect of the tooling, and then offering the services package of white gloving. Why don't we set this up specifically for your company and not just as a general tool?
So your current funnel is two calls, one being you helping them get plugins installed and domain whitelisted on their agent so that they use the product on their agent, and then getting a second call set up where you talk about customization and do upsell for other services.
Correct.
Of the calls you had this week, how many were the second call?
None.
They were all the first call?
Yeah.
So 0 on the secondary call, 3 on the primary call. And on the primary call, how many did you get plugins installed on?
1. And the other 2 were IT blocked. I don't know if it's IT blocked, but it's like, yeah, well, this is cool, but I'm uncomfortable setting it up until we, until I get approval by my boss.
And domain whitelisted?
Same.
How many of the 3?
We don't need to domain whitelist if the organization has allow all.
So the one that installed had allow all?
Yeah.
So 33% conversion rate of getting someone to use it. And of that person who's using it, have you already set up a secondary call with them?
No, not yet.
Do they seem like a potential that would have high probability of converting, or does it seem not like they're not an ideal customer for us?
They seem like somebody who will use it and spread throughout the org in order to get up the ladder. So they're not the final decision maker of the upsell services, but in their scenario, the organization, there's a value in it being spread across the org, and they're on an allow list, or I'm sorry, not allow list, and they're on a they have allow all, because then they can, like, if he tells or shows anybody else in his company how to do what we did or set it up, or if anybody asks, like, hey, how did you do that? And he, like, when it'll just spread like product led, which is an ideal scenario, right? Like it's kind of like what happened with 1RPM. Like, we ended up getting like 25 people from their company on platform at one point. The issue was that, like, they were all on a free tier, so it never transpired into something bigger. But if it was pay as you go, it wouldn't have been an issue of like trying to convert and then getting stuck in middle staff land. Like, it's just people are using the product and it says, oh man, if you want to keep going, I need some credits. Like, all right, cool. Like, so like making it that flow easier, I think, is better. Like, we'll see how that plays out now differently.
Got it. So main strategy is LinkedIn. This week, 3 calls. Next week, you've got 4 calls set up. Right now, you're working through getting them through the pipeline. Any other thoughts on how you're doing with your annual goal and progress on the business side?
It requires. I'm realizing it requires more education. It's like, how can I put it? It's like it requires a little bit more education, which means it requires a little bit more of trust in me and the brand, uh, to be able to say, no, this is the direction that AI is heading. Let me show you the future, because everybody still expects a web app until I show them that they don't need one, and so it's like a little more. It's just like it's different than just jumping on a demo and being like, what, check out this web app, and everybody's like, oh wow, that's crazy, it's so fast and it shows all my stuff. Like, it's like me showing them Claude code, and then they're like, why are you demoing Claude? And I'm like, well, this is ours, look what it's able to do. And I have to like spend a little bit more time being what Claude can do before and then after a Recoup. And so there's just that. It's like a little bit more of an educational thing. But
So on your calls, you're showing your screen, not having them do it on their own assistant.
I'm starting it on my screen and then setting it up on theirs once they have the aha moment of, oh, I get it. Like, the first step one is like they need to understand what the product is. What are we doing? How does it work? And then by the end of the call, it's okay, cool. Let me show you how to install our plugin. Let me show you how to get the same experience that you just saw us do, basically.
Okay. And your call with IT for our enterprise customer?
Got pushed to today.
Got it. So it hasn't happened yet. It's happening today.
Yeah. And I think something the next once after a couple more of these demos and getting into the swing of the demo or the new demo approach, I think next steps is starting to do more conferences and panels and things like that. I think that's where our outside of LinkedIn, I think that's where our ICP lives, and that's where I can much faster gain the trust of what would take a couple of 10 posts on LinkedIn that they see and agree with, and I can squeeze all of that in to one panel or one face-to-face at a conference. So I think that's probably the next step, is hitting a couple of these music business conferences and getting a little more hands-on human touch.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea for discoverability, music business conferences.
Mm-hmm.
Top of funnel. What's your goal with the IT call today? What's your before and after from the current state that we're at? What do you hope will change by the end of the call? What's your goal?
Domain allow list.
what steps or questions lie between this current moment and Recoup being on the domain allow list at the end of your call?
Say the question again. What steps or questions?
Yeah, what specific actions will you perform between the present moment where we're not on the allow list and at the end of the call where you say we will be on the allow list? What are you going to do to get the boat from where we currently are to where you want it to be?
Oh, you froze.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, I got half of the sentence. You said what am I doing?
What right now we are not on the domain allow list. You say your goal is to put us on the domain allow list by the end of the call. What specific actions will you perform to get the boat from where it currently is to where you want it to be?
Specific actions.
Yeah, it's not like you're just going to open the meeting and then magically we'll get on the whitelist. It's not you to say you tell them to do it and then they just listen to you. How will you steer the boat so that it actually gets to the point in the current you want it to be?
Yeah. Good. I got it. Okay, cool. I'm going to go to open the Recoup, the Cooper web app. I'm going to explain to them, look, when a user signs in here and asks a question, it pings our API. So this is already happening. And so we just need you to take this API and add it to Cloud Code. So the same experience happens, but instead of from our web app, it happens from Cloud Code. So there's no security risk. Like, this is already going on. It's already happening. Users are already using it. We've already signed. We've already done all of the deals required for services and master service agreements, and like all of the concerns has already been reviewed by lawyers. This shouldn't be a concern. I don't know exactly how deep technical it's going to go. I don't imagine it going any more technical than that. But yeah, so just walking them through, like, this is how it currently works. This is what's happening currently. And now I just need to make the same thing happen over here on this, with this app through this. And the remove it, putting on screen and explaining the process of what the domain list does and why it is currently there for malicious websites that you don't want the agent to randomly go to. That is why there is a domain allow list. It's for trusted domains that your employees are already going to. And I'm thinking too that, like, I've been like adding a lot of the research on this into the Claude bot, but like doing like a lot more posts around this, a lot more just starting to write some blog posts about it, starting to write some like very specific flooding the feed on, like, the biggest blocker of these teams is that they're not giving Claude the ability to do the amazing things it can do. Here's what you need to do to fix it. So trying to like put it in the forefront. I don't think people even realize this is an issue. You know,
What do you anticipate the biggest pushback or blocker being during the call that will prevent you from getting Recoup on the domain allow list by the end of the call?
the ego and or goal of IT. I don't know if ego is the right word, but like the biggest blocker is IT's reasoning level of consideration. Because historically, IT, the easiest path, the paths of least resistance to do their job well is to deny.
Right.
That is the safest route is
Right.
just don't let
Nobody got
anybody
fired
in.
for denying security permissions.
Exactly. And the less technical that IT person is, the more abstract security is, which makes it more easier, more black and white of just like yes or no, like, and so it's that's the biggest blocker is like, which I, again, going back to like what I said in the beginning of this, which is like ideal customer is the person who doesn't have a boss who can make these own decisions, and or the person who gives the green light to say no, it's okay, like let's do this. And it's like convincing that person and then staying on that person even past the while the headwinds of an IT is coming in and saying no, well what about prompt injection? I've heard a lot about prompt injection. Like, and arming that person with the no, prompt injection is not what we're talking about here. That's noise. We like, this is something different. Like, so like it's almost educating the decision maker, like, the final sayer the most, right? Like they need to be as understanding as I am, as you are, about how AI and this whole thing works.
Is Benji going to be on the call?
Yes, I believe.
Has he been convinced? I agree. He's probably someone that could steamroll this or push it the most in your favor. How how do you anticipate using that piece on the chessboard in accomplishing the goal, or is he just a pawn sitting on the sideline right now, just kind of observing, but not really supporting the overall objective?
Um, I think that he's supportive. I think that the the how can I say it? I just need to continue to drive home the this is already happening. Like, removing all of the security aspects of this equation, removing all of the like this isn't a conversation about security. The security, if we were malicious, we would already have Trojan horses in your system, because your employees have already hit our API. Like, it's already happened. You know? So like, this is not a security. This is not a are we being secure or not question like issue anymore. This is a your systems are not set up correctly, and it's preventing your employees from being able to use AI effectively. Like, if you were concerned about the security issue, it would have been I guess just going back to that, like driving back to we're treating this as a security issue, which we can talk about in general if we want to after we add Recoup to the domain allow list, right? Is like, what other things do you want on the domain allow list? Let's talk about what should be on a domain allow list. Should you just add all? Like now we're talking about security, right? But at a minimum, your vendors and trusted websites that your employees go to every day should be on the domain allow list, like, because they're already going to it, you know, like, so I guess that's kind of like where my positioning of it.
I think that's the best positioning. If knowing that your biggest blocker is IT's reasoning of security, the best jujitsu you could do is to make the conversation not about security, saying and not making it about Recoup. Don't make it about us, and don't make it about security. So your employees are already visiting Recoup. On Recoup, it makes API requests to our backend. Same thing happens when they visit Chartmetric. They log into Chartmetric, they hit Chartmetric, they use Chartmetric's API. Same thing with Box. All of these domains Claude is going to want to hit, and Claude is going to need to hit to be able to do the job that you really want it to do, which is scaling your employees' capabilities without increasing headcount. This is not a security question. This is exactly, I think you're phrasing it well. This is just, you guys just got this new system. It needs to get set up. The reason I'm on this call is because I'm getting on calls with your employees and they're not able to use it. So Box is not going to get on you and tell you how to set up Claude Code. Neither is Figma, neither is Chartmetric. This is a benefit you get of working with Recoup, is we do care and we are talking with your employees. So again, this isn't a security talk. This is us trying to help Rostrum get set up to the best positioning to take advantage of AI, to scale what your team can do without increasing headcount, and trusting your vendors on including your vendors on the list of tools that they can access from their assistants is step one.
I will say this though, you just made a great point, and I agree with you. In observation, and I mean, obviously this makes sense, but like, it's perception wise, an official MCP partner of Claude, this doesn't even become an issue. Like they don't even think malicious, right? So like the Figma MCP in Claude, like if it shows up as like a, hey, you can click here and connect your Figma, that part of it is not like, the assumption is, oh, okay, this has been vetted and I can trust it. So like trusting their vendor to trust, or trusting Claude or Anthropic to say, here's our official plugin partnerships, MCP partnerships. So that's one side of like where I do know that like it makes it easier. With that being said, I don't know how difficult it is to get onto the official partnership side of things of them, but yeah, like you said, like like Chartmetric is a great example. Your employees use Chartmetric, like they're not going to be on the featured fucking list of Claude, anytime soon. But because the music industry, it's like there are specific music tools that your staff needs. Luminate is another great example. Luminate data, you're going to want that data. You're going to want Claude to be able to hit that API if you have it. Like that needs to go on the domain. It's like, what are the things that are not fucking $10 billion companies that have partnered with Anthropic to be on their their MCP and plugin partnerships program? The sub $10 billion companies that your organization still uses daily, weekly, monthly, whatever it is, like billboard.com. Right now, Claude can't hit billboard.com. Billboard.com should be on the domain allow list. Point blank. Do you trust billboard.com? Like, all right, cool. Like, there's not going to be prompt injection on billboard.com. Like, they would put them out of business. Right. And so, like, that strategy becomes, in my opinion, it's like, which again, pushes more towards the services aspect of this, of our offering, which is like, we're not only helping you with tools and agents and, and building out those solutions, but like also like just like in general, like how is your organization set up and ready for AI? How are you prepared? How are you competing in the marketplace? If company A employees and if companies A's environment for their employees is set up to optimize Claude, and company B's employees is not set up to optimize Claude, but both companies have Claude installed, so they're both paying the same amount per month, at least at minimum for subscriptions. Which company is moving faster? So like trying to paint that picture of like installing Claude on all your employees' machines is not, that is a step one of making your company AI native. There's a lot more steps that should happen.
What are the 5 most important domains that get added? Again, if you don't make it about security and you don't make it about us, rephrasing the call is, hi, this call is to help. We know that your employees need these domains. Right now they don't have anything, so your employees aren't using AI to their full capacity. The point of this call is to help you guys add the domains that you need. And I know that you guys will need some help with that because I'm working in these LLMs all day and I see the requests that my LLMs are making. These are the domains that I recommend that are going to give your employees the biggest step forward. Recoup's on that list, but we're talking about the list in general. And what would you?
Yeah, that's great. It's Billboard. If they have a roster account, Luminate, whoever their royalty provider or connection is, and if they're like depending on if they're a distributor, if they're not a distributor, like their distributors connection. So I mean, I guess it's like a more of a buffet menu of like, here's like your music news. You need your music news domains. You need your distribution pipeline domains. You need your industry network domains. Those are kind of like the 3 buckets, I would say, like, and depending on.
You said news. What are the buckets?
News, like pipeline, music pipeline. So like royalty distributor. Yeah, really mainly like distributor or royalty provider. So for example, like a think tank, a DistroKid, a like whatever the out getting songs to platforms and then receiving money back from platforms, whatever those API calls or domains that are calling those APIs like are, those are what needs the Claude needs to be able to see. And then the third is network. So music industry network. It might be LinkedIn, or it might be Roster, which is like a music industry focused database of industry insights. But it's like music industry data. And if you can knock out those three buckets, and then like and then I guess the last bucket is like any other tools that you're already paying for and subscribe to, and your people are already using in your company. And like that is like even like the process of like how would I roll this out across companies? It's like send an email to all staff, ask them to write a list of their 10 most important websites that they visit on the daily or the weekly. Get that back. There's your domain allow list right there. It's like they're already going to it. They're already using these websites. And then anything else on there, it falls into the category of, you know, other API calls that they might not have thought through, like the back end of think tank. But even then, like if you just email your team and they come back and say, here's all the websites that I go to, that is literally the list of at minimum what the domain allow list should show. And then the strategy becomes like, how do we as a company increase our domain allow list as it grow, as the AI allows more, enables more stuff. So like, or else you're literally Claude is going to be stuck in a bubble of I'm only allowed to go to these websites. So like it's never going to grow outside of those websites either. So like, you know, again, this all boils back to like, what is the AI rollout strategy across the org? Who's managing that? This is the shit that I need to go to conferences and like fucking get on stage and talk about. Like, or, you know, post 1,000 times on LinkedIn about like, you guys got step one complete. Amazing. You've decided on an AI provider. You've gotten all your staff set up. Like, now here's the 12 other steps and things you need to start thinking about in order to really take advantage of this new magic that you just gave all of your staff.
I'm glad you wrote last week. I'm glad you're getting on discovery calls. I'm glad you're getting on the IT call today. The most important, the easiest customer to sell to is your existing customers. So keeping our existing customers prioritized and keeping them from churning is priority number one. And then keeping the inbound to expand that base so that we're not fully dependent on one customer is the other. You have a call today, so we'll know more after that call if we're going to be labeled as a false negative and continue to be labeled as a security risk, or if we get allowed in to continue to interact with these customers on a daily basis. Because I noticed I don't think the sandbox has been updated for Rostrum in 2 weeks. So they're not visiting the sandbox domain, which makes sense. I'm not seeing any new messages from them. So getting into their Claude code is the best thing we can do to stay involved in their daily practice, or go into proactive things that's us outreaching to them without them interacting with us. The sales are also very important, and it sounds like you're going from 3 calls this week to 4 next week, and you're posting now, which is the most important thing to keep the top of your funnel full moving into weeks ahead. So it sounds like you're in right where we need you to be on the company side. I know I took most of the time talking about business, so I appreciate you walking me through. What do
No,
you
I
want to
appreciate it
talk
too.
about
I
last?
feel there's a part of me that feels like that, like this is good. I almost want to do like, because usually it's me just we're going over a lot of the shipment stuff, and we spend a little bit of time on this. But I this back and forth has been really helpful for me as well. So I almost want to like more ritualize the idea of like, hey, one week let's focus more on shipping, and the following week let's focus more on go to market, and like you know, it's been helpful.
Yeah, we're a small team. I don't know that it needs to be formalized more. I've been feeling this itch of, like I told you at the start, I've been worried. So this talking about this is me trying to do what I can to get our attention on what I feel the limiting factors are, so that what you focus on grows. So the what when we focus on it, it resolves it. If when tech becomes the bottleneck again, we'll focus more on tech. But right now, getting over this hump of our existing customer or landing a new customer feels to me like the most important thing, to make sure that the nightmare that I'm worried about is you get on the call today, they don't let us in. It sets up a precedent of they don't let anybody in. More and more rostrum starts to stop using us. Their Claude bill gets higher. Benji wonders, what are we paying them for? They churn. Sid doesn't have another customer that's warm enough to be able to sell to. The question becomes, how do we pay the dev team that is currently at the point that it is, all of our engineering costs? And then we get into a big financial predicament. So keeping them happy so that that doesn't happen, and selling a new customer, I'd like us to, I trusted a lot in the goal that you set at the end of last year of we're going to get to 10. We're getting towards the end of Q2, halfway through the year, and we're still at 1. And so it's making me nervous of, are we actually taking steps? And so spending this time is me prompting you with the questions of, are we taking, what do the steps look like? Are we taking those steps? And hopefully in focusing on this, it allows your practice to, you continue to spend time on this instead of vibe coding is nice in your free time, but right now we really need you on the business side.
I agree. Um, but to talk about that, I'm realizing a couple things that it, let's kind of like go from step back and go to like the initial insights, which were the music landscape is wide, but there seems to be two types of customers who get value from the direction that which we're going quickly. The first is the vibe coded artist slash builder who needs access to research and things like that, but doesn't want or have time to set up their own APIs or CLIs or whatever. So like there's that one side of things. Um, the Bends, the Excelencias. And I think that part will be growing over the next 10 years, right? I think every musician will eventually also be vibe coding, etc. The problem is that is serving that customer does not support our dev team. Until it scales to a place, like until those customers scale, right? So long-term vision, I think, like when that hits an inflection point of every artist is also on Claude and doing what Excelencia is doing, if our marketing and our branding, like setting up the company or the brand in a way where, like, when any artist does go to Vibe Code and asks, how do I connect my agent? Like we have enough data on the internet to be the place that agents say you should use this tool, which just goes back to like our top of funnel go to market of like, just that means just more blog posts with keywords about connecting to tools. It means more like, just being more present and persistent when it comes to top of funnel information on the internet about agents, music agents, and that. On the other side of this is, and I know we're at time, but I just wanted to kind of throw this insight out, which is on the other side of it is SMB, really SMB music companies, and all SMB music companies, which are just like not, meaning like the 1 million revenue to 500 million revenue per year, like music company that is not a major label or major distributor per se, but they have a catalog that's heavy enough that enables that needs assistance of larger teams, right? 10 plus staff because their catalog needs it. And those companies, our ICP is founder CEO, because founder CEO is the person who can approve things. Or, well, I'll just stop there. The more that I kind of zone in on that customer, the more I realize that most music businesses are becoming label, distributor, catalog, acquisition company, like all three kind of combine into this one music indie company. Like it's an independent music company that like does all of it, right? And they might outsource a distribution, path. They might, have all like their bread and butter certain places or another. But at the front of all of their main business is they have a catalog of songs that is accruing value yearly, and they need to continue to keep that active and leverage that for other opportunities, whether that be going to find investors to give them more money to acquire more catalog, whether that mean lowering their distribution costs by building their own, whether that be like whatever it is, like they have a gigantic catalog and they've proven concept of like, we have a catalog that has value, and we now need to like grow the catalog business. And so the more that I think through like, where's the value of the product that we're building going to get the most, or the transfer of value is going to have the most ROI, is at the catalog level. Is like the bigger that our tools enable catalog level when I say catalog level, I just mean like we've been very focused on release level and artist level, and we did catalog very briefly, but like nothing really thought out. And I wouldn't even say that like the current catalog is the specific thing I'm talking about, but mainly like there are not a lot of tooling and companies that I'm playing in the AI space that I see that like focus on that layer of like catalog acquisition, like because it's either like music focused tooling, which is for labels, or private equity tooling for funds, right? And it's like they're two very like, but there's this middle of like funds that buy music catalogs and manage them that I feel is like a really interesting focal point specifically for this our ideal customer, like which is the like CEO of a company that does either aspires to get there or does that already, right? Like so yeah, I'm just like kind of throwing out like my observations and learnings of like what are the biggest pain when I ask an artist what the biggest pain point is versus when I ask a music company founder that has at a certain revenue level per year, like what their biggest pain points are, they're completely different pain points, obviously. And I think we need to start to think about from a product perspective, like what pain points are going to be worth our time in the beginning. Because like even it's been easy. What I've been finding is like even if we onboard a company to scale agents, if we're not asking the question of what's the biggest pain point for C-suite instead of what's the biggest pain point for the marketing director, which is again goes down to like the granularity of like per release, I need to get like this marketing document into this folder, like as opposed to like I need to buy a catalog and I don't know which one to buy, or I need to analyze this $50 million catalog that like the stakes of the problem become gigantic and like, you know, very, very important. And I think if we can think about how do we solve that, but I think it'll trickle down to the rest. But the more and more I kind of get bird's eye view on this, it's like asset catalog management and catalog problems, man. Catalog problems are fucking really important problems because they're the fucking underlying asset that if that part of the business doesn't work, everything, like no release works, you know, nothing else matters. They can't sign new artists, they can't do anything, like, so just something to think about as we move forward.
Catalog is the correct asset to be focusing on.
Yeah. Sweet.
Anything
All right.
else?
I think that's it. I mean, anything you want to go over? I know we're at time, but
No, just
you
no.
ship
I
credits.
think we're shipping stuff on the dev side. We're working to continue to support the web interface, credits. I highly encourage you to check out admin.recoupable.com and check out who's using credits. Whenever I get a text from Telegram, I open up the admin, I go over to credits, and I'm connecting and seeing, okay, when we get a text here, I do see it there. Someone from 1 RPM was the highest credit user in the past 24 hours, and it's just nice to see who's using the most credits, how are they using them, because that helps me know which part of our stack is getting the most usage.
Can you see where they're using it?
Yeah.
So was it web app?
Yeah. It's split between our API on research endpoints and the web app. Depending on who it is, 1 RPM is using the web app. A lot of people I don't recognize are using API. So each customer is using it differently. And you can see the models, like 1 RPM is still using GPT-5 mini. So they're using a really old model at this point.
Well, they're using the default model because
the old default model. Now I've updated the default model to be GPT 5.4 Nano.
Is there a way to know if that credits is an automated scheduled task or if it's an actual human making those credit calls? Because the immediate thought of why it would still be Nano is because it's like if a human went in and did that, they would have used the newer. It would have automatically updated the newer to the newer model,
Well,
right?
the web interface saves what model they were on, and then the next time they open it up, it preserves that. I know you keep asking the question, is it a human or not? I am leaning away from that being an important question, and the more I'm looking at credits, the more I feel like that is what is the important thing to be looking at, is our credits being spent or not. That leads to our bottom line. And it also, I've been reading a Homo Deus from Yuval Noah Harari, and he's talking about how some countries talk about, let's move over to a happiness index. But at the end of the day, and there's a little bit of a ramble, happiness is not something that is necessarily meant to be measured, because you can't just be happy. Once you reach a certain level of happiness, that becomes your baseline, and then that isn't good enough. You then chase the dragon, and you need bigger and bigger hits of happiness in order to stay there. And the higher you get on the happiness, the more you'll swing on the opposite end of that pendulum to experience sadness. And so the more traditional GDP, how much money is flowing through an economy, is a much more efficient and objective measure of how an economy is doing. And I think measuring that internally within our own businesses, measuring the credits, which directly relates to how much we are charging, is a more important measure than is a human doing this or not, is a hypothesis that I have for measuring success in our company. So if this is important, it sounds like what you actually wanted to know is this coming from a task or from the web UI? And that's an easier thing to check and fix. But the credits dashboard, I think, is the most important thing that I've been monitoring this week, and I encourage you to check it out if you haven't.
I agree. Are you going to just double down on credits next week? Because I agree, like getting credits right seems important.
Yeah, both getting the current path is not supporting sandbox.recoupable.com, but getting chat.recoupable.com working. So going back to the original plan of moving things over, I have the chat endpoint moved, and so my current getting the web up so that it supports your end-to-end demo if people don't want to bring their own agent, and having credits so that we can have visibility across web and bring your own agent. Those are the two places I'm focusing on: web UI support and credits.
Dope. I have a question.
Go ahead.
How important is it? Let me rephrase that. At what point do you think it is valuable enough to change or to migrate a plugin that was is doing just like the regular Python calls, and we have no insight into its usage or tie it back to credits, for example, the deals plugin, to convert that and migrate that into like the API system.
Don't think there's a straight answer. If you're continuing to use it and you find it valuable, and you think other customers are going to find it valuable, it's probably the time. From your perspective, being on constant calls, I would recommend getting someone else to use it, not having them look at your screen. I don't know that passes the mom test. It's easy for someone to say, "Wow, honey, look at what you're doing on your computer." But if
so let me give you like a. Can we get off stream to talk about this?
Yep. Thank you all for tuning in. We will see you on Monday.